SnowTrax is sponsored by Ski-Doo, Polaris Terrain Domination, and by FXR Racing, Full Throttle Addiction.
AJ and I have ridden with a number of Ski-Doo's backcountry ambassadors, and what these guys are is basically just Ski-Doo sponsored backcountry riders and mountain riders who are bridging the gap between different segments of the market. And they're kind of introducing these types of riding styles to the public through their own riding. And we had an opportunity this week to go meet Ski-Doo's newest backcountry ambassador, Jeremy Mercier. On our way into Denver in the airplane, and then for hours driving out of Denver, there wasn't a flake of snow on the ground, and I was getting a little bit concerned as the further away from Denver we drove, further into the mountains, not seeing any snow. Gentlemen.
Hey, nice to meet you.
I honestly have to say Jeremy is one of the easiest to work with guys I've ever met. He's a family man. He's ridden snowmobiles for countless years. He's also an accomplished backcountry snowboarder. He's really just a down-to-earth kind of guy who, honest to goodness, loves riding.
I moved to Colorado in 1994. I was sponsored by a no-name company out of Michigan, and I knew I loved the mountains. We came out here when I was younger, so literally the day I graduated, I moved to Colorado.
While we were unloading our sleds, Jeremy was telling me about how much snow this area gets year after year, and how there's, you know, a 12-foot base and 5 feet of powder, and this year was such a different year. There just wasn't that much snow, and it was evident in the parking lot. And I was getting a little nervous. The drive had shown there wasn't a lot of snow in the area. Where we had unloaded, there was a little more, but in general, it was looking pretty skinny. However, Jeremy promised me he knew some secret areas back there that we were going to find some sweet powder and be able to ride in the trees. So I put the whole story in his hands and trusted him, and it turns out he didn't let me down. Jeremy rides mostly in the Grand Lake, Winter Park, Colorado type area, in that mountain range and in those backcountry areas, and it's a spot I'm familiar with. I've been there many times. I hadn't been to the secret spots Jeremy was going to take us to, but I knew the area.
For me, snowmobiling, I come out, I can't get enough of it because it's the most challenging thing I've ever done. And there's so many different types of riding you can do, from trees to side hilling to jumping, different snow situations. And not to mention the exploring is probably my favorite part of the sport. Going to new areas on a daily basis is pretty hard to beat.
It was only a short ride from where we unloaded the truck to where Jeremy had a spot picked out, and he'd found some different areas for us to ride to mix things up. The first place he wanted to take us to was this area in the trees, and it was his favorite spot to ride on a north-facing slope where there was lots of powder, and we spent a good amount of time ripping around in those trees, him showing me a few tricks that maybe I'd never seen before.
For the last 4 years, I ran a backcountry guide business where we did snowmobile tours, we did sled skiing, we did Avalanche classes with Mike Duffy, and basically kind of became an ambassador of the sport on my own by just taking people out. And then I got connected with Ski-Doo to be a backcountry ambassador, and they asked if something I'd be interested in. And of course I about jumped through the roof of my car when I heard that.
Jeremy rips, he just goes for it. And it was really fun to watch. There was lots of little kind of pillowy stuff inside the trees so that we could, you know, pound off of and catch some air and pull some sweet wheelies. So him and I had a really good time just exploring all the different things that tree line had to offer.
The new Ski-Doos, especially the T3 with the 3-inch paddles, for me it's a game changer. In the trees, you can be riding the T3 and literally stop in the middle of a side hill, no matter where you're at, stop, look around, choose any line, and continue going.
We then ventured kind of outside of the tree line and played in the bit of powder that was available just on the outer edges of the tree line itself. And of course, it doesn't matter where I go or where AJ goes or where any of us go for that matter, we got to find some jumps, we got to find some nice launches. This area of Colorado just was filled with the coolest kind of snow features that I'd ever seen. And we found some spots to get the skis off the ground and get some air. And you know, at the end of the day, there not being a whole lot of snow that you could see really didn't make a difference. This was one of the best mountain snowmobiling experiences I've ever had in a time when there, generally speaking, wasn't that much snow. So Jeremy did a good job finding the places for us to ride.
SnowTrax is sponsored by snowmobileandquebec.com. This winter, experience snowmobile heaven.
Jeremy was very specific about the conditions, and the conditions were pretty bad for avalanches right now, just the way things were in the area. And Jeremy had the perfect guy, Mike Duffy, to come out and show us a little bit about what avalanche safety is all about.
So here's a good hill to show. We have some recent avalanches here, and the 4 ingredients for an avalanche are: you need a 30 to 45 degree slope. The next thing you need is a slab of snow. Snow is very cohesive, it's very elastic. We've had some wind, so the snow that was deposited in was denser, and you can get side loading too, going across the face of the mountain. And then the next thing we need is a weak layer. The weak layer can just be denser snow on top of less dense snow. We could have a sun crust, an ice crust. Sometimes we have something called a surface hoar, which is a frost that forms on top of the snow. And when this new snow comes down, it prohibits it from bonding to the existing snow. Fourth thing you need for an avalanche is a trigger. 90% of the time it's you or someone in your group that triggers the avalanche that kills someone in your group.
I've ridden in the mountains so many times I can barely even count, and I've actually been in an avalanche. I was caught in an avalanche many years ago and it scared the crap out of me. So when Mike gave us the opportunity to learn a little bit more about avalanche safety, I jumped on that right away.
Another thing I do is I have these 5 big rules you follow in the backcountry. One of the things is only one person on a slope at a time, and the reason being is in North America, if you have a multiple burial, you have a fatality because it's the digging that takes the most time in a rescue. The average depth of burial is about 1 meter. To dig someone out that's 1 meter down, you usually have to move 1,500 to 2,000 pounds of snow. Never go above your partner, never go on the hill to help. If someone's climbing, like this hill right here, no one's parked in close, they're way back on a good island of safety, they can keep their eyes on the person and get a last seen point, reduce the search area. Third thing is have a plan. Who's first on the slope? Who's last on the slope? Where's your escape route? 4 is alter your riding according to the danger. If the danger's high, we're not even thinking of hitting something like that. We can always have a good time on low angle in the trees, but the days out west when we do the big climbs, they're special days. We can't do it every time. Fifth thing is always have someone in voice or visual contact. If you and I are climbing, I go around the corner and you're climbing here, well, if I get caught in an avalanche, you first have to figure out I'm missing, and then you have to figure out where I am. It just wastes time. So we always work as a team in the backcountry, and it just goes much better.
The information Mike was able to provide us was eye-opening. I really didn't know that there was so many specific details, so many telling signs on the side of a mountain about whether or not it was safe, and I didn't know there were so many ways to look at a mountain and kind of assess how safe it was. So being able to do this was, in my opinion, an absolutely invaluable experience, and it's something I think everybody who even thinks about riding the mountains should do. They should go take an avalanche safety course with Mike would be the best choice, and learn the stuff they need to know to stay safe. As a backcountry ambassador, Jeremy has a very unique kind of goal. He has been sort of a pioneer / involved in this sport called sled skiing.
Sled skiing is using the snowmobile like a chairlift. So basically we put the racks on the snowmobile and we can take 2 people at a time to the top of a mountain. The person that'd like to ski or snowboard straps in while the other snowmobiler goes down, watches them from an island of safety, comes down, skis, and we just take turns and we do laps all day. For sled skiing, the new Skidoos, especially the T3 with the 3-inch paddles, it's the tractor. I mean, you can take 3-4 people up a hill, no problem. I mean, you're not gonna go through 3 feet of powder, but something like this where it's groomed, it's great. And if you don't come to a groomed area like this, it's really easy to just pack down a track really quickly and then get a shuttle going.
If you think about it, the second most important thing for sled skiing, aside from your snowmobile, is your snowboard or your skis. So finally, Skidoo has come up with their Link accessory snowboard ski rack that, according to these guys, is like the show. It is the cat's meow, it is the cat's whiskers, as they say, and it worked awesome.
As an ambassador, I always want to keep the sport positive and keep user groups together. Over the years, a lot of places have been closed because some snowmobilers or some skiers, both sides of the party, have not been respectful to one another. So to me, like, that's really important. My other passion along the lines is safety. And my backcountry Avalanche mentor, Mike Duffy, has kept me alive since my first Avalanche class in the late 90s. And to me, that's really huge too.
At the end of the day, when we were done kind of riding and sled skiing, you know, we went up on top of the highest peak we could find, which was about 12,800 feet, and looked around and I thought to myself, if you're not willing to give snowmobiling, particularly mountain riding, a chance, you're never going to see this. But this is a trip I'm going to hold on to. This is one I'm going to remember for the people, for the riding, and for the incredible scenery and mountain views we got on top of that mountain.
Closed captioning of SnowTrax is sponsored by Triton Trailers, the cornerstone of every adventure.
Over the past 2 weeks, I've been building up a custom XF8000 Limited for the Arctic Cat Dream Ride giveaway, and this week, it continues to get better. The Dream Ride giveaway is of epic proportions, offering you so much more than just a cool stock sled. It offers 2 separate winners a totally custom sled tailored to trail or mountain riding. On top of that, you get to ride with the crew from SnowTrax TV as well as Arctic Cat celebrity riders, and it all gets documented in a feature SuperTrax article and SnowTrax TV episode. Yes, your buddies are going to be jealous of you for years to come. While this is an awesome giveaway put on by Arctic Cat, SnowTrax, and SuperTrax, you can't win either of these cool custom sleds or the epic destinations if you don't enter the draw. Entry ballots can be found in issues of SuperTrax magazine and can be taken to any Arctic Cat dealership across North America to be submitted. During the last 2 weeks, we took out our sweet XF8000 Limited and gave it a completely different feel, adding shocks, skis, graphics, racks, and a whole host of other cool genuine Arctic Cat accessories. And this week, we have a fresh sled ready to be tweaked. This is a 2015 Arctic Cat M8000 Limited, and while in stock form it is an incredibly potent mountain climber, we wanted to make it completely custom, so a no-holds-barred trip to the Arctic Cat Online's parts catalog has given us everything that we could ever ask for. The first thing I should mention is that while the VIN number will show a 2015, this sled will have the 2016 updates, from the Team Industries clutches to the new front end setup, and yes, we even have a beautiful 3-inch lug camoplast track for out back. This is going to be an incredible ride. Due to the amount of equipment that I have to put on this sled, you're going to have to forgive me if I rush through a few of the pieces, because I only have this week and next week to get it all done. Seeing as this will be the same as a 2016 when we're done, I'm opting to change the graphics first so we don't get it confused. The graphics wrap I selected from Arctic Cat is the Spirit wrap for both the hood and tunnel. While it's a little more tame than our XF's Scarred wrap, I wanted to be subtle to show off all the beautiful parts. You may have noticed that I left out a few pieces of the wrap, and while in most cases this wouldn't be the norm, I've got some new panels to go on this sled that won't actually accept any graphics. These vented hood panels feature a huge mesh overlay that allows copious quantities of air under the hood. The snow mesh screening will keep the powder out but allow the belt and engine to run cooler, increasing both reliability and performance. And speaking of performance, weight savings is always a benefit out in the mountains, so I'm opting to take off the stock front bumper for something that's a little bit lighter. The ProClimb Light Bumper is the lightest bumper offered by Arctic Cat at just 2.7 pounds. And while its design is simple, it still offers excellent protection and a great place to pull from if you do find yourself in a tree well. While we're at the front end of the sled, there's no better time to overhaul the entire front suspension. And by that I mean more than just the new 2016 spindle. Yes, it does include the new 2016 taller and lighter spindles with new geometry, but it also includes the new A-arms. And seeing as we've removed the shocks, why reuse them when Arctic Cat's parts catalog offers really nice Fox Float 3 Evol shocks? Don't be jealous, you know you like it. Heck, enter the draw and they could be yours. With the suspension geometry updated to the 2016 specs and the front shocks completely overhauled, it's time to put the skis back on. And no, I am not going to use the stalkers. Custom means different, and so I chose the CNA Pro BX to put back on the M Series. BX means boondocking extreme, and these skis are designed for technical mountain riders. With built-in traction groups, a flared rear tip, and a deep square center keel, you'll be carving it up like a pro. Time definitely flies when you're having fun, especially when you're installing all kinds of cool brand new parts on a brand new sled. So make sure you tune in next week where the rear of our M Series is going to get a complete overhaul, and this build is going to get a little crazy. This is the Arctic Cat Dream Ride, and you could win it.
Test Ride is sponsored by Princess Auto, the unique world of equipment, tools, and more.
With a background in trail riding and snowcross racing, I like to ride hard both on and off the trail. This aggressive riding background has left me searching for a unicorn, that perfect sled that provides the best of both worlds. I like the speed and traction that the race sled provides. It gives you the ability to conquer the toughest conditions. But I also like the speed, comfort, and endurance that the trail sleds provide. Arctic Cat's race replica ZR4000RR is targeted at the hardcore aggressive trail riders who not only want an aggressive ride, but also the added bonuses that come with trail sleds, including oil injection, friendlier steering, and more comfortable rider positioning. Arctic Cat certainly nailed it in the aggressive department. Even the look of the ZR4000, from its sharp edges and primarily black body, scream aggressive predator. But this aggressive attitude doesn't stop with its appearance. It continues all the way through handling, sitting position, and power. This sled requires you to be on point and riding aggressively at all times. There are no lazy Sunday trail rides if this is the pony you're saddling up. We found it to be better suited for fast-paced windy trails, shredding a snowcross track, or racing cross-country. And if this is what you're planning on doing, the 4000RR is a blast to ride. The downside to all the RR's aggression is that you never get the chance to catch your breath. The only way to ride this sled is hard. Combine that with heavy steering, and rider fatigue hits you way sooner than it would if you were on something more mellow. The ZR4000 is light, really light. This is one of the things we liked most about the sled, and it does help to compensate a bit for the aggressive steering. And as a bonus, it's easier to move around the shop. Further reinforcing its racer DNA, the 4000RR comes with a suspension setup loaded full of Fox shocks. The Float X Evol ski shocks come with wide range, hand-adjustable compression and rebound, and are set up with XC race calibration. The skid boasts Zero Pro Clicker adjustable reservoir shocks as well. The Procross chassis is tough and can handle anything you can throw at it. So once your shocks are tuned, you'll be cruising choppy trails and hitting big jumps like a boss. The 43.5-inch wide Arctic Cat front race suspension is 1.5 inches wider than a standard trail sled. This is what gives the RR its aggressive posture and its heavy but accurate handling. It also helps with high-speed cornering stability. However, this increase in width means the 4000RR has to come with 5-inch wide skis instead of the 6-inch wide skis common on other models. Otherwise, it won't fit into the 42-inch maximum snowmobile width limits set by some US states and Canadian provinces. For riders not limited by these rules who are looking for more flotation off-trail, adding aftermarket skis is an option. It's true, the ZR4000RR has everything you could want in a race-inspired trail sled, but don't expect to be winning drag races anytime soon. This lightweight 500 twin-cylinder two-stroke measures in at 499 cc with 85 horsepower and a top speed around 88 miles an hour. It's fast enough for trail riding, but not for lake running speed demons. Its power band could certainly be described as high-strung. Yes, the smaller engine package is what has kept the weight and the price down, but given Arctic Cat's relationship with Yamaha, we think a better motor for the 4000 would be the torquey 80 horsepower 500cc twin found in the Phaser. The ZR 4000 RR would seem like a great option for younger or smaller riders who would benefit from its light weight. But you have to keep in mind that this sled demands to be ridden aggressively, so even a younger rider will need some solid experience before they're ready to handle the 4000. Although the ZR 4000 makes a solid attempt at being a trail-converted race sled, its racer DNA is still the dominating factor in its performance. With the Arctic Race front suspension, Procross chassis, and Fox Float Evol shocks, you've got a sled destined to win cross-country races and impress the toughest critics during off-trail excursions. Unfortunately, this very same racer DNA is what is holding the 4000 back on the trail. Forced to ride aggressively at all times, I can't imagine taking the sled out for any long-distance trail rides. But if you're looking for a trail slang, corner railing, jump-crushing race sled that you can show off on and not break the bank and still take the trails home, then the ZR 4000 RR might just be the sled for you.
SnowTrax has been sponsored by Polaris Terrain Domination, Arctic Cat, share our passion, and by Go Ride Ontario, yours to discover.
If you like this video, post a comment and tell us what you think. Then click on this link to subscribe to SnowTrax TV here on the YouTube channel.